Hello, it's George Anderson here, and I'm joined today by Stuart Hayden, author of the book It's Not About the Coach and the website stormbeach.co.uk. Stuart, thanks very much for joining me today for a few minutes.
Thank you for having me, George. Very great to be here.
Now, we've had a few conversations over the last few weeks and months, and I'm really kind of intrigued by your approach, because unlike many coaches who really focus on the coaching process, you're much more about the coachee, which is a novel kind of concept, an old term, and actually improving somebody's ability to respond to that coaching. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that, and I know obviously a lot of the mechanics of this will be in your book, but in a nutshell, what is coachability?
Coachability is the ability to respond to coaching, and a lot of what we've got in terms of literature, in terms of other books, in terms of our knowledge out there, often points towards the coach, which is great. You know, coaches need to be prepared and qualified and trained, accredited, etc., depending on what context they work in. But the thing is, of course, there's at least two people involved. There's a coach and coachee or athlete or whatever words you want to use. So it's also about the ability for that person to respond well to that coach. Because if they're not responding, if they're not ready for that, then they won't be ready for the coaching. It doesn't matter how world-class the coaching might be. If they're not ready for it, then often it doesn't really get anywhere near high performance most of the time.
How do you know if somebody is... I mean, are more people naturally more coachable than others?
There is a bit of that. It depends if you kind of look back to, take yourself personally as to what you've done and who you've worked with in the past. So, I talk about in the book, which I've got a copy of here, so you can see it. It is formal. It's the book itself. Is that I was in Scouts, and I had a great Scout leader that I really looked up to, and it was a kind of life thing, really. Someone who kind of nurtured me in those early teenage years. Had a great teacher when I was 11. I played hockey internationally and some great coaches and some not so great coaches. So I've learned from that, really. So, yeah, the transferable skills of being coached, we use it quite loosely. I know we've talked about coaching is purely working with, let's say, a running coach on the track. But there's also the ability to kind of read, take in articles, podcasts. That's still coaching. Something that comes in and challenges your current existence about what you do, that I would term as coaching. So, yeah, it does depend on what you've done and who you've worked with in the past, definitely.
Because I think a lot of people will read stuff and they'll listen to podcasts and watch interviews and DVDs and videos and self-help books, but they won't necessarily then do anything with that information. So that doesn't become action. So presumably coachability is the ability to take that information on board and change your behaviours and to actually get better results.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the right pace of doing that as well, because you might listen to a podcast or speak to someone in the running club and not do anything with it for 6 months, which would probably be too slow.
Right.
So you have to do it at the right pace as well. And don't do things too fast as well, because that's, whilst you might say someone's doing so much action, they've just joined a running club, they're doing loads of great stuff, but if they're doing it too quickly, they might not be doing it, well informed, or they're just doing it at too much pace and they're doing too many things at one time. So there's an element of timing to it, of not taking too long and not doing things doing too fast, but you have to take action. Yeah, that would be a great bottom line to answer the question.
So how do you then progress from being, set in your ways and not coachable at all to being hyper coachable and be able to actually respond and do something with the information that you're given?
Yeah, I mean, the first place where I start the journey really is it's about being authentic to yourself and knowing what your identity is. So in running terms is, why do you run? I mean, what is it intrinsically motivated you about, let's say, running? And I know some of the great work that you've done. It's, are you running to improve your 10k PB, or is it weight loss? And actually that's quite a different thing. It's a completely different structure to what you're doing, a different motivation, different rationale behind it. So I'd always start with that. What's almost like your compass, your inner moral compass? Where is it pointing to? Because that will inform your next steps. And I think that is a really good place to start. Otherwise, you might be taking your coachability off track, and that's fine. But if you go for that too long, you're going to be going further and further away from actually what your kind of true north is, So be authentic, yeah.
So that authenticity is about kind of really hammering down on what is most important to you, and then getting yourself coached towards those goals. You've got to balance it up. I mean, as I said, running a 10k, and that's a really common one actually. People do that. They want to run faster, but one of their other goals is to lose weight, and it's never really very clear exactly where those things sit in the balance, which one's more important than the other. And actually, unsurprisingly, everybody wants both. Lose weight and run super quick, which is understandable. I mean, I like to have everything as well. I'm sure everybody else does. So what else can people do then to improve their coachability? Some kind of simple things. If you could say 3 things, Stuart, what can I do to help me get more out of working with a coach or reading articles or being on my own programs or whatever else?
Yeah, I'd say number one, I'd say you've got to just consider lots of different possibilities. So that is about taking information from different sources potentially, and in doing so, you want to remain authentic. So find out what it means to you, and what connection you're making between that information or that comment or that question or what you've seen from a coach. That'd be number one. As part of that, you also want to consider possibilities, thinking about how you change, and presence is really important here, because it's like if you're going from 0 to hero, it can be a long journey to get, say, up to a 10K standard. So really be present. What can you do now, today, this week? And I suppose the other part of that is also listen to your emotions as well, because your emotions are really good signposts. Your mood when you're running is a really good signpost. So that'd be someone who considers their possibilities. I'd say that'd be number one. Number two for me is about somebody who's willing to shift their perception. Okay, so you talked. This could be a bit of a flippant comment, but you talked about the benefits of coconuts over the summer when I looked at your work. And I was like, I can't see myself cracking coconuts. But actually, I do it every week now. My daughter loves doing it with me. We've got the hammer and everything. Because the point is, my perception. I've allowed it to shift. I've been curious. I've challenged myself, and I've asked lots of questions. So that's a great way to someone to think about their perception. Just have curiosity about yourself, what you're doing, what other people are doing. The level of challenge is important. Not too fast, too soon. We talked a bit about that already. And questions are great. Questions about why do I run? What's important to me? What does good recovery look like to me? So ask yourself a really good bunch of questions. And then I suppose third of all, you've got to come, as you mentioned earlier, the action. You've got to come to that performance line. You've got to see something different change. And here I really introduce goals a lot. And I appreciate people like to have goals at the start. I'm going to join a running club and have goals. That's great and valid, but really you want those goals really well formed further down the line. And that's when you're making sure that your goals are linked up to who you're being authentically. Definitely change systems around you, people around you, the resources around you, that kind of network around you. Hanging out with people who like to run is, going to influence your chances of running, rather than hanging out with people who like to drink or whatever, And then the real bottom line around this performance, if this is the third part, is around your energy. So looking after your energy the whole way, and you do some great work around this, around, train as hard and rest as hard in the same way. So you're working really hard on that. But it's also about, scheduling rest days, putting your feet up, emotionally time with family, away from running per se and other goals that you have in life, to really have that kind of fusion or balance between who you are rather than just train.
Okay. Now, if somebody wants to find out more, because obviously there is a lot more to it than that, what's the best thing for them to do? I guess buy your book.
Yeah, buy the book would be number one.
And has that got like a process in it? It's not just the theory.
Yeah.
That's got some step-by-step kind of instructions as to what to do and how to improve your coachability.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's split into 3 parts, which I just briefly mentioned, and each of those 3 parts has also got 3 chapters. So they're all in there in terms of basically you've got end-to-end 9 chapters. You can read it from start to finish, obviously that would make most sense, or you can dip into different chapters depending on what might be relevant to you. Also, as of yesterday, I've just released an online course as well of the book, which is split into 2 online courses. And the good news is it's free of charge at the moment. So if you go to the website, which is www.stormbeach.co.uk, you can get free access to that. So the book, if you like, it's a narrative. You've got to sit down and read the book. There's an ebook as well. But whereas the online course is more interactive. So it's me with video, with a bit sort of more practical exercises. So if the book's more of a story, the online course is more of a practical side of things. The website's got YouTube videos. There's a blog I do as well. So there's lots of things you can access for free. There's a free introduction to the book on there as well. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and I don't know, we'll probably do some stuff together as well to kind of get some things out there as well. So
I mean, I love the whole approach and concept that you've got, which is why I was really keen to do this little interview, because you can put somebody in front of the greatest coaches and the greatest people, but unless they've got that ability to respond, then they're only going to get, I think it says like 40% of their potential. So it's not changing anything that they have access to, other than unlocking more of their mind, essentially, and getting more out of the hours that they spend. So, and it's it's an exciting prospect, I think, for a lot of people. So, well, thanks again for joining me today. It's been really insightful chatting.
Thanks, George.
I hope that those who have watched this bite the bullet and go ahead and get the book and improve their own coachability.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Stuart. Bye for now.
All right. Good to speak to you. Cheers, George. Bye.